Hello, hello, good evening. And hopefully in just a few more minutes, some more people will join us. But thank you, folks that are here. My name is Darilyn Berryman, and I'm a native food for life instructor. And that means I took a course that was offered by the American Indian Institute, Oklahoma. And for 6 weeks, I learned what you're about to learn. So, hello, thank you for joining us. Okay. Sometimes we have a few stragglers that come in, but we'll go ahead and get it going. Just doing the introductions. If anybody wants to um, you look at the chat, I'll direct you there for a moment. Um, I should have sent you in the email today's handouts for the class, but I stuck them in the chat so you'll be able to see the handout. And then while we're watching our video, I'll email everybody so you'll have a copy in your email. And it has resources and the recipes for tonight. So make sure you check the chat out. If you have any questions, hello is in the chat. You can use the chat or you can, interrupt, and say, hey, or raise your hand and just start talking if you have a question. In the chat, you'll see the lesson 1 class handouts. And then there's also a survey that helps keep us going. So we're going to have this same link on the survey today, first class, in the middle at the third class, and at the end at the sixth class. If you wouldn't mind, everybody, take a moment and fill out that survey while we're here waiting. And that gives us a little direction and keeps the program going. And that lets.
Where is the survey?
Okay, so in the chat, if
Okay,
you find on the Zoom chat, there's a little link, but I can also send it in your email. I'll send out emails here in a little bit with your handout and the link to the survey. So if you would rather, just relax for the moment, you'll get that survey in your email. But it's in the little chat section. Sometimes that can be hard to see when you have your Zooms on different views.
I don't
Like
know.
right now.
I see your hello, and
Okay. Let me get.
Is there? No.
Send it one more time. There we go.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Yes. And so that's a good lesson for me. If no one's in here and I already sent it, when you log in, you won't see the old chats. So, okay, good. I'll remember that. All right. And so, like I said, my name's Darilyn Berryman. I'm a GTB tribal member. And in 2015, I was 40 and pregnant, and I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And the midwife said I wasn't going to be able to have the home birth we've been planning if I'm on any medications. And I thought, oh, well, then I'll just have baby at local hospital. And she says, no, you can control diabetes with diet exercise. And I was floored because my whole family has diabetes and I don't know how I missed that. And so through diet exercise, I was able to form a lifestyle where my numbers were in order so I could have the home birth we've been planning. And so after we had baby, I said, oh, we have to bring this information to the tribe. And so that's why I do these classes. Now, if you miss a class, they are recorded and they will be on the GTB website. So if you happen to miss one, look for the email. There'll be a follow-up email with a link to the classes, previous class. And if you make all 6 classes or watch all 6 classes, and it is on the honor system. So if you miss a class and you go watch them and you told me that you watched them, I'm going to believe you. And that means you graduated at the 6 weeks if you watched all the classes. And this series, we get to have a really cool bag. Oh, you can't see it, but it's a shopping bag with the logo on it. And then a little measuring cup set. So it has the measuring cup and then the little teaspoons and tablespoons inside. So I don't know how to get that. There we go. Get it in front of you. It has the little logo on there. But I'm really excited to see all y'all watch all the 6 classes or attend all 6 classes, and then you can get your goodie bag, and I'll mail it to you, or you can come by and pick it up. Okay. Well, since these are recorded, anybody that comes in later can just watch it, but I'll go ahead and get started so we don't run out of time. And what it's going to consist of is me coming on here and doing an introduction. Then we'll watch an educational video. There's a short quiz, and then we'll watch a cooking instructional. And then we end it with me and any questions. And so I'm not a dietitian. I don't have any initials, but I do have a contactive team of dietitians and doctors. So if there is a question I can't answer, I will get your question answered and send it to you in email or get it to you in the next week class. So that's what I'm here for, is just to facilitate any questions and get us going in the right area. Okay, so with that, any questions so far? All right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start us with our video portion of the series, and then afterwards we'll have that quiz and questions. If you have questions during the video, you can put them in the chat. We can do that through the chat. All right, here we go. Oh, share screen. Oops. All right, it's been a 6 months since I did this, so let me try it again. I'll get it now. All right, share the screen. Sound.
Welcome to Native Food for Life. It is my honor to present this program in partnership with the Physicians Committee. My name is Whitney Brooks. I am a registered dietitian nutritionist. I'm from the Seneca Nation, which is located in what is now called Western New York. So I'm really excited to share this program with you because the information that we cover has been so beneficial to me, and I hope that you and your communities will receive just as much benefit as I have. So a little bit about me. I initially got into plant-based eating because I was concerned about my appearance. I had acne-prone skin well into adulthood, and it was really frustrating because I tried literally everything else except for plant-based eating. And when I finally did, I was 26 years old, and it was a revelation because I could not believe how quickly it worked to heal the inflammation that I was experiencing on my skin. Little did I know that the inflammation that was probably already happening in my body was also being helped. There's never been a better time to start shifting our eating patterns to support our overall health. In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting aftermath, it is so important that we do whatever we can to support our overall health. Welcome to Lesson 1, The Power to Heal Diabetes with Native Food for Life. This program will help you learn about the foods that have the power to prevent and treat type 2 diabetes. In this program, we will learn a lot. We're probably going to laugh a little bit. We're going to cook some new things, and we're going to eat some delicious food. So altogether, we're going to discover the truth about how food really is medicine. Native Food for Life is different because we focus on treating the root causes of diabetes and not just treating the symptoms. You can expect each week in this program to learn how to eat to protect and heal your body. We can learn a new skill or improve an existing cooking skill. And then we're going to watch a food demonstration and learn a new recipe to try at home. Now it's time to settle in and watch a mini documentary featuring Indigenous actor Graham Greene, who starred in a movie you may have heard of called Dances with Wolves. Enjoy.
Hello, I'm Graham Greene. I would like to speak to you as someone who has seen the devastating effects of diabetes. For thousands of years, diabetes was rare, perhaps non-existent among our people. Today, 1 in 5 Native American adults has diabetes, and our teenagers are the fastest growing group being diagnosed. This epidemic has touched all our lives. It has certainly touched mine. I watched an aunt die from the slow, painful effects of diabetes, and just recently, my youngest brother was diagnosed with type 2. We have rediscovered that food and a healthy diet can not only help us prevent diabetes. For those who have type 2 diabetes, healthy foods can help turn it around. For some, the result is nothing short of miraculous. This program is the beginning of a new journey. It is a direction that can literally change your life. You will meet people whose lives have been transformed. You will also meet researchers whose research has shown that the answer to diabetes prevention may lie in our age-old food traditions. That's right. Food is the medicine that will help us reclaim our health. And we can put this knowledge into action for ourselves, our children, and generations to come. Thank you. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey ya, hey, hey yo, hey yo, hey ya, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey ya, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey ya, hey.
I come from North Dakota. I'm from the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. We have an epidemic of diabetes on our reservation. It's rare to go into a room with 5 people and less than 3 not have diabetes. The first thing I noticed was I was thirsty all the time. Then I was really lethargic. I couldn't get enough sleep. I couldn't rest enough.
My mom was always tired. She just laid in bed all day. We did nothing. I would just go outside by myself. And she would just be sleeping all day.
It alarmed me. And I went to the doctor and they said, your blood sugar is really high. Are you diabetic? And I'm like, no, I'm only 23. I'm only 23. How could I be, And then I never went back because I was offended. How dare you ask me if I'm diabetic?
Things are not going in the right direction at all. If you look at the latest figures, 1 in 3 children born since the year 2000 is eventually going to develop this disease if things don't change. We have to think about this disease differently. We have to find something better than just a new screening test or a new kind of prescription.
I was 288 pounds. I noticed that my joints hurt. It was hard for me to get around. I sweated very easily. It was a chore just to get up and go help clean around the house or to go outside and get wood. It was a chore. Socializing with people was harder. More or less, I didn't care about what people thought, like physically of me, but emotionally, and people didn't care emotionally about how I felt. Nobody wanted to socialize with me.
When Jensen was heavy, he didn't really express how he felt, or you could just see it on the way his attitude over time. He just got quiet. So I would be like, let's just go take a walk, or you want to go with me? I'm going somewhere.
It worried me that I wasn't healthy, that I just thought it was normal. I just thought it was normal to be overweight, that everybody else just gets chubby. Everybody just gets chubby. I just thought that.
I started, coming down with the sugar diabetes, and after I got that, new things increased to other symptoms like high blood pressure and high cholesterol and sleep apnea. That was one of my main serious illness that I had. Well, they told me that I don't, if I don't control my diabetes, I would eventually go blind, and other like heart problems and hearing problems, and they told me that I would lose all my teeth too, and I didn't want that to happen. It was kind of hard for me to accept, that I had sugar diabetes.
I was on 22 different medications.
My mom was very sick when I was little. I thought she was dying. When she got up, I would have to make the bed because she had to go do something else, like go take her medicine. And then I would have to count her pills, just make sure that she's on daily what she's doing. I would just say, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" I would kind of take care of her. It was, I guess, a lot of work for a little child. I was afraid of her going away, dying, and I wouldn't have anyone to take care of me.
Why is this happening? Why are so many people struggling with obesity or with type 2 diabetes? Is it a gene or is it something environmental? We really wanted to do something about this. So with the support of the National Institutes of Health, we began a research study. And it was based on the observation that if you look at the countries where there's not much diabetes and not much obesity, they all have one thing in common, which is that their diets are predominantly plant-based, like rice in Japan, for example. So we had a large group of people who had diabetes, and we asked them to follow a completely plant-based diet. Beans and grains and vegetables and fruits, abundant quantities. They weren't counting calories and eating tiny little portions, but everything they were eating was healthy and plant-based. And the results were spectacular. People lost weight, their blood sugars came down, their cholesterols came down, their need for medicine came down. In some cases, they got off their medicines completely. And when the results came out, I was asked to do an interview on a Native American radio program. And I was describing the health power of grains and beans and vegetables against diabetes. A woman called into the show, and she said, "The foods you're using are almost identical to a Native American tradition called the Three Sisters." And these traditional foods kept her ancestors healthy generation after generation after generation. And I got totally excited about this. How could these simple, very simple basic foods have so much health power?
Traditional foods was basically bean, squash, and corn. In the old days, when the people consumed that, they were slimmer, they were healthier. Many changes have come about due to white man's influence. People are consuming a lot of ready-made foods, processed foods, and fast foods. Therefore, we see an increase in diabetes and obesity and other diseases.
When I was young, we moved around a lot, so the food choices changed. Everything was processed. Everything was packaged. I lost my cravings for vegetables and the love I had for fresh tomatoes, for carrots, for cucumbers, even strawberries.
For myself, it's kind of a short story. When I was growing up, I was always starving. I was always hungry because we were being raised with a big family. But after you go to school, you find a job, and you have more money, and you tend to spend more money on food, I started noticing that I was getting really big, and people started telling me. I didn't really mind, looking like that until it started affecting my health.
Traditionally, people ate very, very simple foods, things that came from the earth, vegetables, fruits, simple foods. But those foods kept people strong. I contacted Betty Delro from the Navajo Nation because I wanted to learn more about these healthy Native American traditions, and I also wanted to see if the research that we had been doing would be meaningful as well. So I went to Arizona, and Betty and her team showed me all about medicinal plants and ways of preparing traditional foods. We decided to set up a series of classes, a program that could allow people who had diabetes to learn to make healthy traditional foods and to see if that could help them.
We didn't really know what to expect. Who knew if people would come to our classes, if they would keep coming, if they would like the food, if they would be able to find these foods in their communities? It was really an experiment. We had some great partners. We worked with the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center in Albuquerque and the Institute for American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, and we worked especially closely with the Navajo Nation Special Diabetes Project. And we had 2 great Native American chefs working with us who developed some wonderful recipes. They were able to demonstrate that you could pull together these dishes that were affordable and convenient, and most importantly, that they tasted great. And people came to our classes and they kept coming back and they raved about the foods.
The turning point, the one thing that got me over the cliff to say, I don't want to be like this anymore, is I didn't want my daughter to see her mom with no legs. I didn't want my daughter to have the burden of pushing me in a wheelchair. I didn't want my daughter to be burdened with, Mom, did you take your insulin? Mom, did you take your metformin? I didn't want her to worry about that. I didn't want her to be in that situation where she would have to worry whether her mom's going to be here tomorrow or not. Dr. Barnard, Lois Frank, Carolyn Trapp, Food for Life class. It just changed my life. I didn't even know what a radish tastes like. I didn't know star fruit. I didn't know you could make a taco taste so good. I didn't know you can blend these vegetables, these beans, just vegetarian items. I didn't know you could blend these items together and make them taste so good, and it satiated you, it fulfilled you. And it was also fun. Before Dr. Barnard's class, I thought there was kidney beans, pinto beans. Now there's garbanzo beans, azuki beans, mung beans, all kinds of beans, and you can sprout any kind of bean. Also, juicing, that's really fun. Flavors, the colors, the smells, the way it feels. After you ingest it, you don't feel heavy, you don't feel tired. In fact, after you have a glass of juice, it's not hard to go out for a walk. It's not hard to go do some layups with the daughter. That's the best part about being vegan, I guess, is how it makes you feel after you ingest the food.
These foods are nourishing. They give the body what you need, but they also have a lot of fiber to fill you up, a lot of vitamins to keep you healthy. They don't have a lot of fat to pad your fat stores. They don't have the things that will cause the insulin resistance that leads to the diabetes that we see. They don't have any of that.
My dad sat us all down as a family and he pretty much said that we were going to change our life. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to change my life over food. I love food. Food's my best friend. And he was just smiling and I was like, I'm serious. I'm not going to stop eating meat. Are you crazy? That's my protein. And he just smiled and he was like, no, I'm pretty sure you could get other protein out there, healthier protein. And he's like, do you know what vegan is? And I was like, no. He's like, well, vegan is just when you eat nothing with the face. No face products, nothing. And I was like shocked. I was like dairy, my milk, my cheese, my eggs. What really made me change was my weight. I noticed that I just weighed too much. I was like almost 300 pounds. I was 12 pounds away from being 300 pounds. This first 21 days is like the hardest for me in my life. I swear it was so hard. I thought about giving up. The first 3 days I thought like, oh, let me just go back to the store and grab some Whataburger or some quick food. And we didn't.
I stopped eating meat and just continue with my vegetables and fruits and just downsizing my portion of the plate that I was eating. I used to weigh 235 pounds and I noticed that I started losing like a half a pound, 1 pound, and my recent weight was 200 pounds. So I'm still going down. My doctor took me off or cut back on some medications, and she took away like gluburide, which I was taking. She took that away and cut down on my metformin. My high blood pressure pill was also cut back, and my recent cholesterol count is pretty good, pretty normal. I got myself off the sleep apnea machine, which I was using. I hardly use that anymore. I feel really good that my numbers are going down, and then I sleep well, I eat well, and I'm not stressed out all the time. I'm not too worried about my health.
Food is not just calories. Foods act like medicines. Foods really do bring cholesterol levels down. Foods really do help you to lose weight. They really do bring blood sugars down. They can replace, in many cases, what medicines are doing. So when a person embraces a plant-based diet, they really do get the power to heal.
Would you like this big old garlic in your
You are what you eat, and that's what really changed me. I lost about 80 pounds, give or take. I lost my weight quick enough to make me feel good about myself. I noticed that my knee doesn't hurt. I can run 5 miles. I can hike. I don't get heartburn no more. My complexion's better. I personally think being vegan is a spiritual thing. Being healthy, being one with your food. Mother Earth grew that plant so that I could enjoy it. This is our Mother Earth. That's where food comes from, healthy food. And I do know that there's a difference between being physically fit and being vegan fit.
Jensen is an inspiration to everyone. It's the day that you see your kid walk in and he has this big smile on his face that you haven't seen in years. And he's holding a pair of pants and he says, I've had these pair of pants for 3 years and I can fit into them. He's so positive about life. He looks so good and he's so happy now. Everybody sees it and everybody feels it. And that's Jensen. And he wasn't that before, but he's that now. That was the gift that I gave back to Jensen. And when you give that gift to your child, it's the best feeling a parent can ever feel.
My daughter, she would go have some fun by herself. She would ask me to do things. She would ask me to go play, but I was like, I can't do it. I just can't. And that would break her heart. Now, I don't feel like that. And I'm like, hey, Ashley, let's go to a museum. Or hey, Ashley, let's go play some basketball. Any chance she can see mommy going out there, she's like, all right, let's go do it. And then we end up having a blast.
Since my mom's she changed her diet, we've been playing basketball, or sometimes I would go on a run. She'll kind of speed walk as fast as she can and push herself. And I'm really happy that she does that because she has more time for me. I'm proud of her for making this change in your life and actually caring about your diet and what you're putting in your body.
When people come to my house, they're like, wow. At first they're like, oh, should I bring my own food? But when you really learn to cook and you love what you're doing, then pretty soon, the presentation and the colors are popping. And people are like, oh, I want to try that. And so before you know it, they're asking for the recipe. And so you're actually turning somebody's life also. It just takes one person to change your life. That's what it took for me. And hopefully that's what it's going to take for my daughter.
Point that I'm proud of in my life is that I can run or jog 5 miles up into the hills, and I can still do push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups at my age. One of the main reasons why I'm doing this is, to pass my experience to everybody, that we need to stay on this diet, keep with it, and to avoid, eating the wrong kind of food.
I'm most proud of myself because I'm vegan, I'm young, I'm healthy, to go outside, to enjoy this beautiful weather, to feel good, to smile, I'm confident.
The thing I am most proud of, in all honesty, is my future. I didn't really have one. Not without diabetes, anyway. I didn't have a future without it. Now I do. And how I did that was because of taking all the tools that I learned from the first day I walked into the doctor's office, Dr. Barnard's class, reading his books, inspiring my daughter, and just wanting that future free from diabetes, not just for myself, but I want my grandchildren to be free of diabetes. I don't even want them to even know the word. I don't even want them to know it existed.
Now it's time to check our understanding. Here are some important questions to answer to make sure that we understand key topics. The answer will be shown after a short pause. Remember, this is no pressure. The answer will be shown after the question. Question 1. Eating a plant-based or whole foods way of eating is A. Complicated and costly, or B. Simple and encourages healthy families and communities. The answer is B. Once we know what to eat to heal our bodies, plant-based eating can be simple. Question 2. A common symptom of diabetes is thirst. Is that true or false? The answer is true. One of the common symptoms of diabetes is having excessive thirst. Question 3. It is normal to become overweight and get diabetes as we get older. Is this true or false? The answer is false. We don't have to get overweight and develop diabetes. Question 4. A plant-based or vegan diet can manage and even reverse chronic diseases like diabetes, obesity, and high blood pressure. Is that true or false? The answer is true. We can manage these chronic diseases with diet. Question 5. Before the Europeans came to this continent with dietary patterns centered around domestic livestock, our ancestors often died young of diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic diseases. Is that true or false? This one is most definitely false, as Native people weren't struggling with these diseases until after colonization. Question 6. Plant-based diets are suitable for A. Men, B. Women, C. Children, D. Elders, or E. All of the above. The answer is E. All of the above. Everyone can benefit from plant-based diets. Question 7. If I eat a plant-based diet, I should take a supplement or vitamin that includes A. Cholesterol, B. Vitamin A, C. Vitamin B12, D. Calcium. The answer is C. Vitamin B12. It's the only supplement that we really need to take when on completely plant-based diets. We don't have any dietary need for cholesterol, and calcium is one of the most abundant minerals in our diets.
Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn Trapp. I'm a nurse practitioner with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and I'm really glad to join you as part of this wonderful program today. You have heard about all of the benefits of eating plant-based meals, but are there any risks? Almost always the benefits of diet change far outweigh any risks. However, if you take certain medications, such as insulin or pills that can cause low blood sugar for diabetes, or if you take blood pressure pills, or if you take a blood thinner called warfarin or Coumadin, this little presentation is for you. The good news is that with better eating, you may need less medication. But how will you know when you're taking too much? This chart shows you some of the symptoms of low blood sugar. And for people with diabetes who take insulin or some of the pills for diabetes that have as a side effect that they can cause low sugar, these are the symptoms to watch out for. Shaking or fast heartbeat, sweating, weakness or fatigue, feeling anxious, feeling hungry, getting a headache, feeling dizzy, or being irritable, grouchy. Any of these may be a sign that your blood sugar is too low. And these symptoms tend to come on pretty quickly. 1 minute you feel fine, the next minute you just don't feel right. Some people get all of these symptoms. Some people just get 1 or 2. It's most likely to occur if you've gone 4 or 5 hours since you've had anything to eat. And even if you've never had low blood sugar before, if you are taking either of these two kinds of medications, insulin or certain pills, your blood sugar can get too low. And that number varies for different people. Usually we say below 70 is too low, but for some people below 80 or 90 or even 100 is too low. Your healthcare professional should be able to help you with knowing what number is too low for you. What do you do about it? First of all, get something to eat or drink, a glass of juice, some regular pop, not diet pop, or some glucose tablets are all good treatments for low blood sugar. If this happens more than once in a week, or if you have a really bad low blood sugar where you feel like you're going to pass out, get in touch with your healthcare professional right away to adjust your diabetes medications. If you take blood pressure pills, here's what you need to know. If you feel dizzy or lightheaded or are sick to your stomach or have blurred vision, if you're dehydrated or really, really thirsty, if you're feeling super tired, or if you faint, any of these can be signs that your blood pressure medication is now too strong for you. If you have any of these symptoms, sit down or lie down and call your healthcare provider or have someone call for you. And if your symptoms are serious, call 911. If you take a blood thinner, a medication called warfarin or Coumadin, you are usually required to have a blood test once a month. With a diet change, you may need an INR test done more often, such as twice a month for a short time. If you take warfarin or Coumadin, let your healthcare provider know you are changing to a plant-based diet. It's good news. Many people find they need less medicine with a plant-based diet. However, we don't recommend making any changes to your medications without talking to your healthcare provider first. Be safe. Check in with any questions or concerns. Next up, I have some important information for everyone. When you start eating more plant-based meals, you're going to find you're going to be spending some time in the kitchen. Now, it won't be on the end of the meal where you're cleaning up all of these greasy dishes and pans that had meat and oil, but it might be more time on the front end as you're chopping up all of those vegetables that go into these great dishes. So you've already met Whitney Brooks, but I want to bring her back now to talk to you about kitchen knife skills. Whitney is enrolled Seneca Turtle Clan, and she lives on the Cattaraugus Territory in western New York. She recently graduated from DeUville College Graduate Dietetics Program and is board certified as a registered dietitian nutritionist. She has been plant-based since 2016. Whitney loves to cook and garden and plans to incorporate native seeds and plants into her future practice. Here's Whitney to show you how to save your fingers and quickly and safely use your kitchen knives.
Hello again, welcome to my home kitchen. Now it's time for our weekly cooking skills tutorial. This week we're going to cover some basic knife skills. So let's get started. Let's start with cutting boards. This is my regular standard cutting board. It does have some grip on the bottom so that when I put it on the counter it doesn't slide around too much. If you don't have a cutting board with built-in grips and you just have a standard wooden board that slides all over your countertop, what you can do for that is grab some paper towels, or you can use a kitchen towel, whatever you have on hand. You get them damp, squeeze the water out, and now that it's nice and damp, you can place your paper towel or kitchen towel right underneath the cutting board. And then once you put your cutting board on top of it, it is much more secure. Okay, let's talk knives. I have a standard chef knife here. It's pretty big. And then for my smaller jobs, for smaller things, I just have a basic paring knife. It just has a plastic handle. You don't need anything fancy at all. The most important thing about your kitchen knives is that you keep them sharp. Sharp knives are actually a lot safer to use because they'll cut through whatever you're trying to cut without slipping or meeting resistance. So when you're ready to cut, you're going to have your rinsed piece of produce or whatever you intend to cut. You're going to have your knife handy nearby. So with this, I'm going to have my fingers wrapped around. I'm not going to grip it like this. This is one of the most unstable ways you can hold. As you can see, your wrist can turn either way. So the proper way to hold a knife is have your fingers on the handle and your thumb and your index finger are going to grip the knife up here. So it's much more stable. I have much more control over what I'm doing with the knife. So just kind of like that. So now, so I just have a basic summer squash here. So in order to cut this safely, I'm just going to cut off the ends, nice and easy, and then I'm just going to cut off this end. Cuts like butter with a sharp knife. Okay, now I'm ready to dice up this squash. If you notice, it can roll a little bit here. So my goal is to try to create a flat surface so that I can cube this up. So one thing to note is that my fingers on the piece of produce, I don't want them laying flat ever when I'm cutting on the cutting board. As you can see, it could be a bad situation. So in order to remedy that, I'm just going to make sure that my fingertips are always facing up and down. So if you notice, if my fingers are always like this, the knife is never going to hit a finger or a nail. So with that in mind, I'm going to very carefully press the squash down, and I'm going to cut it right down the middle. Nice and easy. So now I have a nice flat sturdy place to put this squash. So now I have a nice flat even squash. So now I can easily dice this up to however I want. And now it's very easy to cut. Now I have 4 even cuts, and now I can dice. Okay, next, let's try an onion. So there's several different ways to cut an onion, but this is my favorite way. So I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to be careful to hold my onion with my fingertips going straight up and down. And I'm just going to cut off the top, which is this part here. And I'm going to leave the roots intact. So I'm going to hold it very carefully and just cut off the top. Nice and easy. So now I can just discard this. I have my onion. Now I have a nice stable non-rolling onion. So then root end up, put it on this flat side, and I'm going to cut it right in half. Now I have 2 separate halves with the roots still intact. Now the half that I want to use, I am free to peel it. Look how nice that looks. Nice red onion. So I'm going to clear my board here. So if you notice, if I cut it this way, I'm going to have big long strips, but I'd like more of a dice for this. So I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to take my knife and cut into the onion towards the center, making sure that my fingers aren't in the path. So now I can simply do a nice, easy dice, and you have nice little bite-sized pieces to use. Remember, your knives are very sharp, so you're going to use extreme caution when moving them around your kitchen. When we wash our knives, always make sure to wash them separately and away from other dishes, just so you don't submerge it and forget about it and reach in and accidentally cut yourself. Okay, just to recap. When we're preparing our produce for cooking, for whatever recipe we want to use, we want to make sure that when we're cutting with our sharp kitchen knives, that everything is as stable as we can possibly make it. From the cutting board, which we don't want sliding around, we want to make sure it's secure on the countertop so that we have a nice stable surface to cut on, all the way to when we're processing our various produce. Always want to try to cut it so that we can make it as flat and stable as possible so that it doesn't roll. And don't forget that even your grip on your knife should be as stable as possible. And that, remember to pinch it up at the top like this and have your fingers down here for additional support so that it's not rolling around like this. So just to recap, when we're cutting, don't forget to make your fingers into a claw so that your fingers are up and down. Since we've seen a little more about using our kitchen knives safely, now we can prepare what we want with a little more confidence. This concludes our first cooking skills tutorial. See you next time. Now it's time for the blue corn and squash oatmeal recipe demonstration, featuring Shawnree Begay. Shawnree Begay is a health educator for Native Americans for Community Action's Lasting Indigenous Family Enrichment Program in Flagstaff, Arizona. Hailing from the Diné and Tohono O'odham nations, Shawnree is passionate about promoting health and the outdoors in Native communities. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science and a minor in American Indian Health Studies from the Northern Arizona University.
Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to make blue corn and squash oatmeal. This is a really filling and nutritious breakfast that'll keep you feeling energized throughout the day. It also incorporates traditional foods in a fun and tasty way. So our first ingredient is butternut squash. I chose butternut squash because it's creamy and has a slightly sweet taste. Our next ingredient is blue cornmeal. Blue cornmeal is from blue corn, which is traditionally farmed by the Hopi, and it's a variety of corn that is more nutritious and has more protein content than white or yellow corn. Our next ingredient is regular oats. Oats are really filling, really high in fiber. Our next ingredient is raisins, and these are optional. I like to just add some raisins for a little sweetness. I don't add sugar to my oatmeal, so I try and get it from fruit. And our last ingredient is also optional, chia seeds, and they're just these little tiny seeds that add healthy fats. To get started, we're going to first cut up our butternut squash. Start by cutting the top and bottom off for a more stable base. I like to cut it into smaller parts for easier peeling. Peel the squash by using a potato peeler. You can actually buy frozen cubed squash or just cut a small amount from a raw squash, since this recipe only calls for a half cup. Cut the round side of the squash in half and scoop out the seeds with a spoon. Now cut the squash into fine half-inch cubes. Now that your squash is cut up, you're going to measure out a half a cup and set aside. Next, we're going to measure out 1.5 cups of water. Bring water to a boil on medium-high heat. Add a half cup butternut squash. Boil the squash for 3 to 5 minutes or until squash is soft. Add a half cup oatmeal and turn the heat to low. Stir constantly for 1 minute. Stir in a 1/4 cup blue cornmeal. Add a 1/4 cup raisins and 1 tablespoon chia seeds. Mix everything well, then cover and let steam for 3 to 5 minutes. Once the oatmeal is fluffy, turn off heat and serve warm. Thank you so much for joining me today. Enjoy.
Now it's time for the weekly challenge. The weekly challenge is optional, but we encourage everyone to give it a shot. So, what's a plant-based breakfast that you'd like to make this week? Here's some ideas. You can have old-fashioned oatmeal with cinnamon, whole grain toast with peanut butter, tofu scramble, and you can have fruit with non-sweetened plant-based yogurt. Remember, when you're making a goal, keep it simple, realistic, and measurable. Thank you for joining us for Lesson 1. I hope we all got a lot out of the program today. I encourage everyone to take full advantage of our weekly challenge and finding a plant-based breakfast you'd like to try. And I hope you all join us next week for Lesson 2, where we delve deeper into the root causes of diabetes. So see you next time.
Okay. Wow. What did y'all think? Any questions about what we just watched?
Go ahead.
I'm anxious to try some squash and oatmeal. It looked wonderful.
Oh my gosh. So I put off that recipe for so long, and then I finally tried it, and now it is one of our favorites. It's a go-to. And what I like about it is, yeah, you can cook hot meal and oatmeal in the morning, but if you already have that butternut squash prepared, you can do overnight oats, which puts everything in the bowl, and as it soaks overnight in the morning, it'll be cold, and I love it cold. It's so good cold. And I was like skeptical of, she says you only need those raisins to make it sweet. So if you put the raisins in there while it's boiling, it is enough sweetness. You get enough sweetness from those raisins. So yeah, I'm with you too, John. I'm excited for you to try that. That's exciting.
Where do you get blue corn?
Okay, so it is in the cornmeal aisle down with the flowers. I found it a few times at Meyer, but I had to go to Oriana. Yeah, and it's there all the time. And it was it's a little pricey. It's like $7, but I have a big, it's a gallon and a half quart jar that it filled it up, and you just need 2 tablespoons at a time or a half quarter cup,
Yeah.
so it lasts a while. I even incorporated it to make blue corn bread with beans. So we had black beans and blue cornbread. We had black and blue for dinner. That was fun. So you'll try to find other, ways to use it. But what that does is it just adds more fiber. So, we have oatmeal all the time, but to give it that extra kick, put that blue cornmeal in there. And then the chia. Chia seeds will actually keep you fuller through to the next day because they help your gut biome. So that chia seeds just to extra, like I call it pro tip. You want extra pro fiber, you get that out of there. And because we want fiber, because it takes the toxins and excess hormones out of our body. And most Americans, they say, are fiber deficient. So that's a really good recipe. Um, and then speaking of oatmeal, you can make oatmeal pretty much out of any grain. So if you have, quinoa or even wild rice or regular wild rice, fix it exactly the way you would oatmeal, because you get tired. You're like, I have oatmeal every day. So we've been doing like wild rice porridge, where you make it with, non-dairy milk, maple syrup. I put some cherries, dried cherries in there, and some walnuts sometimes. And we have porridge like that. Um, Anybody have any ideas that might want to try? So when you do this challenge of the week, we'll have a challenge every week. This one says try for 3 meals. Is anybody thinking about trying for 5 meals or 7 meals of whole food plant-based breakfast? You can make it, a low goal so you'll attain it, or make it kind of high so it's, a challenge. But just make it so that you can succeed. And then next week, come prepared, because I'm going to ask you how you did on the challenge. Um, And then I just want to remind you, I did send out the link and the class handouts in your email. So check for that survey link. So that'll help me, and it helps the program if we get that survey at your first class, at your third class, and at your sixth class. And in a couple days, you'll get another email, and it'll have the link to this recording. If you missed it, or if you want to show it to somebody, you can show that. And then expect another email right before the class that has your class handouts, and that reminds you that we're having, class 2. And oh yes, okay, so here's a question in the chat about quick oats and overnight oats. You can use the quick oats. Those will soak up the moisture and be oatmeal in the morning. They do recommend try to use more of a whole oat, because the quick oats have part of the oat taken from it. It doesn't have all the properties that you would want. And so try to get the whole oats, and those still can make overnight oats. Guess I want to, let's see, did I miss anything? Make sure you do the chat, look for your emails. And then if you are upping your fiber content, if you normally don't eat oatmeal and you're going to introduce oatmeal, drink some water with it. It will help you move that bulk. If you're having any problems, remember to drink the water. And so they give us an hour and 15 minutes for this class. So we still have 15 minutes left. Anybody has any questions, or they want to talk about anything? We can go around. You can introduce yourself if you want to say something, and maybe why you're taking this class, or put it in the chat. If we want to hang out here a little longer, we sure can.
No.
We're all good? Yeah, let's just get on to the eating. I know it's before dinner time.
Yeah.
So, today we had ideas about breakfast, but then the other ones are going to be having more ideas about dinners. And I'm so excited to show y'all this chili recipe. that, I'm from Texas. Well, I was born in Michigan, but I lived in Texas 33 years. And I thought, you have to cook chili 1, 2, 3 days. No, this is literally 5-minute chili. So that'll be coming up in the next episode. Get prepared to have 5-minute chili. You can email during the week if you have any questions. So that email I sent you with your class handouts and the survey, that is to my work email. So you can catch me pretty much all the time. I'll reply to you. There is that note in the chat. Will plant-based eating affect the medicine you take? Yes. The Carolyn Trapp, who's the director of diabetes education for the Physicians Committee, says that you should talk to your doctor that you are doing a plant-based diet and look for low blood sugar signs. And I will send out the low blood sugar signs in your email so that everyone can know if you see someone or if you feel like that, you'd be like, oh yeah, I saw that on that flyer. And so I'll get that to everyone and everyone in the chat. Okay. There was some trouble with the login. So like a few people were trying to get in tonight and I don't know why it wouldn't let them. So I'll try to work on that. So if you know anybody that's having trouble, tell them I'm working on that, and all apologies. Those folks didn't get in, but I'm glad y'all are here and it's recorded. So look for that email. Okay. I keep repeating myself, but we'll get out of here. All right, guys. I was crying. Yes, sir. I was crying a little bit. Oh, you're saying bye? Okay. Let me keep talking. But those few stories had me crying a little bit because they were saying, it's for their children. They want to do this for their children. And that's exactly why I'm here. I was 40 and pregnant. Now I have an 8-year-old. And you never think about your life or the future until you have children, and so it's like, okay, let's try to help his generation, the next generation, our generation of folks, and reduce our medication and let them get going without diabetes, hopefully. All right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Were those other people actually there?